What's good, family? Chiefdryno's live. Chiefdryno's live. Before I proceed, I'm gonna share my stream. As always, I'm gonna share my stream with my group. Bear with me for a moment, please. Let's see. Right. Bear with me for a moment as I share my stream. Okay. Share link. I'm going to share it with my WhatsApp group. African YouTubers is my WhatsApp group. What's good, family? Chiefdryno is going live. Discussing the New Zealand terror. Okay, because this is what it is. It was an act of terror. It was terrorism. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. So, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Interference. Right. Just trying to do a sound check here, making sure everything's right. Right. Trying to do a sound check here. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good, family. Yeah, I've got one person. I didn't expect to have anyone in the chat this early, depending on which part of the world you find yourself. If you are in the United States, I know it's past midnight on the West Coast, and then the East Coast, you guys are waking up about 5 a.m. on the East Coast, and everywhere else should be early morning for you. Now, today is Tuesday, the 19th of March. It's been 3-4 days after the terrorist act in New Zealand, and it is very, very disappointing. I would say, Australia. First of all, I want to pay my due respect, to the Muslim community of Australia and New Zealand, down under. Muslims have been living in certainly New Zealand since the 1800s. Okay, since the 1800s. I think there was one article that I read. It was like 1850. This is nothing new. Muslims in New Zealand is nothing new. Okay, but there's a new wave of horizontal issues going about, and I wouldn't get too much into the political side of it, but this right here is an act of terror or terrorism, to put fear, to promote divisionism, and further cause chaos. It's 2019, okay, and I can't believe the ignorance that is still abound. The level of selfishness and stupidity, okay, in the world. It's at all-time high, even in 2019, where we're meant to be moving on into the future. Embracing the new for the betterment of our planet and humanity. Okay, and we are regressing. Regressing, killing people because of their religious affiliation or their ideologies. But before I go on, I want to extend my condolences to all the families that lost relatives. This is very, very tragic, and it's really sad that the individual that carried out this terrorist act, there were a few that were included. I think there were 4 other people that were arrested, but one terrorist, I'll call him terrorist, by the name Brenton Tarrant, who is Australian born. It's really, really shocked the nation. Okay, Australia is known for a whole lot of things. Okay. Beautiful beaches, beautiful people. Let us not talk about the adorable koalas. The echidnas, the kangaroos. The beautiful wallabies, the wombats. Beautiful people. Australia is known for so many things. Crocodile Dundee. But terrorists? Nah. Australia is not known for terrorists. And terrorism is not the way of Australia. Throughout the world, there are millions of people who try to get into Australia because they know we have a better way of life. Okay. The grass is greener here. Okay. That's why people jump on boats, okay, cross the treacherous Indian Ocean just to get here. And we call them boat people. Okay. But everybody knows that Australia and New Zealand are beautiful places to be. I have visited New Zealand myself. New Zealand is a very, very beautiful place, both North and South Island. I did a tour through the entire island of South Island of New Zealand. It's a very small island. I did that in less than a week. And then I did the North Island as well. Very, very beautiful place. Beautiful people. They're always happy to talk to you. Okay. But terrorism in New Zealand, this is a shocker. It is a shocker. I know in the past few years, there's been a whole lot of plots. There've been several plots that have been, foiled by the Australian government and the AFP, Australian Federal Police. Okay. The police here is so efficient. The laws here are so efficient that on a level of terrorism, okay, will not be tolerated here. Okay, terrorism in Australia will not be tolerated. Okay, before any such terrorist activities goes on, it will be foiled. Okay. Australia is known. You might think you're having high surveillance in the UK, in the United States, and wherever, but guess what? Australia is #1 in surveillance. Okay. we are being watched. Okay, our phone calls are being listened to. Okay, so it is really, really difficult to carry out a terrorist act in Australia. Very, very difficult. Now I know in the past few years, a few incidences here and there, but they are not on a grand scale as destructive as what we just witnessed in New Zealand. You know, and we will talk about it. I don't intend to make this stream too long, but I'll go straight to the point of this stream. Okay, we will discuss the implication of this, what led to this, and the future of Australia in regards to terrorism moving forward. Okay, moving forward. So we know the gunman by the name Brenton Tarrant was born in Australia in a town called Grafton, which is north of Sydney. He lives in New Zealand, and apparently he's been planning to do this terrorist attack here in Australia, but for some reason he couldn't carry it out here. He couldn't carry it out here, so he had to do it in New Zealand. Now, New Zealanders are very, very peaceful, calm people, and like I said before, I was in New Zealand in 2011 after the earthquakes. I was in Christchurch before the big earthquake that really destroyed a whole lot of the city. Everybody was just calm and collected. Everyone was just nice and loving people, peaceful, loving people. You get the same vibe here in Australia, but more so you do in New Zealand. It's so serene, it's so peaceful in New Zealand, you know. And for something like this to happen, it's absurd. Okay, it's absurd. Now, New Zealand's population is only 4 million people compared to Australia, which is 25 million people. It's absurd that this man here, born in New Zealand, born in Australia, will carry out something so evil, so evil in a country that the people are so peaceful. But he dare not do this here in Australia because, you know, it will be foiled. Okay, it will be foiled. Now, what is this? So we know the casualties. I wanted to say this at the start before I make this video. Peace and love to all my Muslim brothers and sisters all over the world. Okay, Australia is a very peaceful, beautiful country. By no means Australians are terrorists. I am Australian. By no means I am a terrorist. My condolences to everyone that lost a family member. This is really tragic. My estate where I live in a western suburb of Melbourne, and it's very, very multicultural here. There is a beautiful mosque called Al-Taqa Mosque just across the street, and it's a vibrant community of people. My next door neighbor is from northern India. He's Muslim. Most beautiful family ever. I mean, this would take me to talking about, well, a little bit about Islam. Okay, Islam is not the people. Okay, Islam is an ideology. And you cannot fight ideology with weapons. It's only through intellectual means, okay, that you can fight ideologies. Now, you know, my channel is all about, dispelling the myths and the misconceptions about and re-educating the masses about Black people, Africa. You know, and Islam is so dear to Africans. Nearly 60% of Africa's population is Islamic. Okay, so Islam is a fabric of all Africans' way of life. So my community here in the western suburb is full of a lot of Africans and a lot of people from India and people of Islamic faith. I wouldn't say Islamic background, because Islam is an ideology. It's a religion, like all other religions. Okay, Islam is an ideology. Okay? It's only a belief. It's only a belief created for social benefits. For social benefits, I suppose. So, and I'm going around in circle. I'm trying to make this stream make sense in a really good way. But I don't want to come across as someone who's bashing Islam. I don't bash Islam. I personally, I am not a religious person. So I do see all religions as ideologies, just as white supremacists, was white supremacy. These are all ideologies. These are all horizontal issues. Okay, and fighting and killing yourselves over it will not take us anywhere. Okay, will not take us anywhere. But as human beings, there is always a need. There is always a need for us to have or perceive a greater power than ourselves. And we want to attribute this to something invisible, something supernatural, other than ourselves. Okay, and this is what ideology is. This is what ideology is. Now, I know my topic is about my topic is terrorism down under and being Black in Australia. The implications of white nationalism and white supremacy. How does it affect Black people? How does it affect any other group of people, non-white? And for the sake of argument, I'm going to use the word white, because I don't believe there are white people. But for the for the grounds of classification, I will use that term. Okay. We all know Australia had the white. Thanks for joining the stream, Black Culture Bridge. Yeah, it's a really deep topic. I'm struggling to find bearings, where to start, how to say it without offending anybody, and without coming out as Islamophobe or racist or whatever. Okay. We all know Australia had an all-white policy up until, I think, the 1950s, where they had a referendum and removed that policy. And we know up to 1972, the native people here, the original people here, so-called Aboriginal people of Australia, were not even regarded as human beings. They were regarded as flora and fauna. Okay. Fast forward 50 years, Australia's come a long way into embracing diversity, embracing all people's faith and religion and whatnot. Okay. A few days ago, I read to you the decline in Christianity, decline in Christianity in Australia. Okay. As in 1901, okay, it was estimated that about 96, almost 97% of Australia's population was Christian. But as of 2016, okay, only 52% of the population are Christians. People are moving away from ideologies such as religion. And in that same topic, I brought up the pedophile priest called Cardinal George Pell, who had been convicted of child molestation and rape of children. And he'd been sentenced 6 years in jail. Okay. This had further destroyed the belief in God, because the question still remains: if there was a God, why do these things occur in his name? Why do they think these things occur in his name or her name? Now, coming back to the decline in religion in Australia. Okay. The population, majority of the people in Australia are Christians. And out of the majority of people in Australia that are Christians, only 52%, okay, of the population consider themselves Christians. And out of the 52%, only about less than 10% are devout Christians. That is, they go to church and are religious. Okay. But with the growing population of Australia, like I stated before, Australia's population is only 25 million. We have the same land size as the United States. Okay. There's plenty of room for everybody. Okay. Australia has freedom of religion. You can practice your religion here. Okay. With freedom, you have freedom to do so. But obviously, majority of the people here, 52% of the population being Christian, okay, resent any other form of religion in Australia. This is my understanding, okay, that they are struggling with Christianity as is, right? They're trying to let go of the ideology of Christianity and the ill effects of Christianity, i.e., the pedophile priest, which had utterly destroyed a lot of people's confidence in God. You know, they've seen the God deception. They want to let it go. Okay. But the fear of people here that Islam will replace Christianity. People don't want to have it. People don't want to have it. Just a few years ago, before the mosque, as I was saying, the mosque here, the Al-Taqaa Mosque, it was built 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, prior to that, you know, there's been several debates on the building of mosques and other religious places of worship. Okay, around Melbourne, in Australia, in Sydney, wherever. the majority of the Australian population were opposing building of such religious places of worship, especially mosques. Okay, especially mosques. And we all know the event that happened in Syria. Was it true Africans died in this attack? Yes, yes, Africans died. Yep. You know, there are African Muslims. I stated before that about 60% of Africa's population is Islamic. Okay, and here Islam is not. Islam is an ideology, okay, just as any other religion. Okay. And people are just afraid. Dagger Squad, thanks for that question. People are afraid of the ideology. Okay. People always fear what they do not know. And the only way to fight an ideology is intellectually, not with violence, not with guns. Okay, not with guns and weapons. Now, I think I was alluding to white nationalism in Australia. There's nothing like white nationalism in Australia. Okay, even though a majority of the people oppose it, I would oppose a mosque close to my house because of the early prayers. But I do wake up early for work anyway, so they call them the azam, or is it the azam? The call to prayer. The person that calls for prayer early in the night. I mean, I don't think I would do too well with that. But so far, I've been here. I moved into my house a year ago, last year. No, almost 2 years now. I've been living here. I haven't heard much noise coming up from. I haven't heard any noise at all coming from the mosque down the street. Okay, but people just fear. People have this fear in them of things that they do not know. And I stated before that my next door neighbor is Muslim. Very beautiful family. Very beautiful, and I love their food. I always go next door and eat the food. They always invite me over. Okay. Beautiful food. Beautiful people, always happy to talk to me, very helpful. And so people fighting ideologies with weapons, it just behooves me. It behooves me. It's like fighting a spirit with a gun. Basically, this is what it is. Okay. And people have made this an excuse. Okay, evil people have made this an excuse to do what evil people do. Okay, evil people have made this an excuse to do what evil people do, and this act of terrorism does not reflect the everyday Australian. Throughout, since the attack took place, I drive past the mosque every time I go to work, to and fro from work. People go in there and lay flowers, okay, to pay respect to the dead. Yeah, people in the community are in solidarity, you know, against this terrorist attack, and embracing humanity, okay, and not to fall for the ploy of white supremacy, which in itself is an ideology. Okay, it's an ideology, just as any other religion. It's only a belief based on fear. Based on fear, like I stated before, a lot of religious ideologies based on a supernatural being, conceived to be or perceived to be to be greater than oneself, who has rewards and punishment for every individual at the end of their life. This is fear, okay, and nothing else. But to further put division amongst people, okay, these terrorists create these events. Like I was saying before, Australia's population is really small. Not that New Zealand about 80% of New Zealand is mountainous. Only 20% of New Zealand is habitable. The rest of it is like very cold, full of mountains. You can barely grow anything there. Okay, but Australia has a lot of land. Okay, despite our environmental issues, okay, there's a lot of land for a lot of land to cater for a double the size of the population of Australia currently. Okay, and Australia is, hey, there is an African theorem that I think you would be great to explain. It's called the GAGUT. What is that? We can talk about that later, but I'll go on with this, Dagger Squad. The fear of migrants is one thing, or immigrants is one thing that has inspired this thing here. Okay. Australia's population being 25 million people, and in my channel, I promote Australia to African Americans, especially because of the United States visa program with Australia. There's a lot of opportunities here. Australia's population is set to double by 2050. Our population is meant to double by it's currently 25 million. It's meant to double by 2050. In 30 years, we're meant to be about 50 million people. Okay, and a lot of the migration coming here is coming from Europe. Okay, and during the fight against ISIS, the Australian government was part of the fight in destabilizing Syria. Okay. A few times Australian jets have shot at Russian jets, and I don't know why. An Australian jet shot down a Russian jet, and we thought it was the US. Initially, the Australian government denied it, and it turned out that it was an Australian pilot that shot down the Russian jet. Okay, instead of them fighting terrorists, they're fighting amongst themselves, and this is a different topic for another day. But we know that there are mistakes were made. Okay, but millions of refugees left Syria and flooded into Europe, and which has created a lot of negative stereotypes and ill feelings in Europe about migrants, especially people. I wouldn't say Muslims, because when I say Muslims, people would think that Muslims are a people. Okay, us as an ethnic group. Muslims are not an ethnic group, and the reason why I'm saying this is because even the BBC, okay, the BBC made a mistake in one of their news coverage. Okay, and I'm going to point that out. Okay, Muslims are not people. It's not an ethnicity to be Muslim. It's only a religion. It's only a belief, an ideology. People that subscribe to an ideology. Okay. Majority of Muslims, especially here in Australia, are lovely people, innocent people, okay, just as everybody else. They just believe in a certain doctrine, okay. And to be honest, okay, they don't believe in attacking people. They don't believe in bombing people. Okay, they believe in humanity. That's it. Okay, that's it. You talk to every other Muslim. Okay, you talk to any other person that ascribes to the Islamic faith. Okay, they're not going to tell you about how they want to blow up people and stuff like that. They're very loving people, very lovely people. Okay, but it does not dispute the element of extremism in the religion, like any other religion. Okay, that's why I don't subscribe to any of these religions, because enlightened people don't do that. Okay, you don't look outside yourself for greatness. The greatness resides inside you. It's not supernatural. It's natural. It's within you. Okay, so this is what I say. Oh boy, this is really difficult. This is a very difficult topic to deal with. But not intending to make this too long. I know I'm running in circles. I'm trying to say this in a way that will not offend so many people. I know people are going to be offended anyhow. Okay, anyhow. But this incident here is only one off. Okay, by no means Australians are terrorists. By no means white Australians hate everyone that's Muslim. By no means uh, everybody in Australia hates immigrants. If you talk to everyday Aussie, they welcome immigrants. Okay, they welcome immigrants, and what it is it's only a fear that these immigrants come to Australia, okay, and they don't want to assimilate, but they want to change the way of life of the everyday Aussie. Okay, this is only fear mongering. Okay, like I stated before, Christianity in Australia is in decline. Okay, people are leaving religion behind, but the influx of people of Islamic background into Australia is going to lead to Islam overtaking Christianity in Australia. There's another fear that people of the Islamic faith, okay, have more children. I don't know, I don't know why they say that, but in Australia, okay, if you have more than 2 children, you must be doing really well financially, because it is very difficult to be a parent in Australia. Tie that in with your occupation. Tie that in with your way of life. You want to enjoy life. You want to travel. You want to build a house. You want to do so many things. Okay, you don't have time to be making babies. Okay, that's why the birth rate in Australia is low. It's not because the white people cannot have children. That's not the reason. The reason is that people just don't want children, because children complicates their lives. That's based off the UK or European numbers. Trust me, Dagger Squad, same thing in Australia. Okay, everywhere else in the developed world, everywhere else, even the United States. Okay, what do you see? The average number of children per home in the West is Australia is 1.2 children. I think it's low in the United States and the UK. Okay, because um, the everyday Aussie is very hardworking. They go to work, come back home, pass out on the couch, entertain themselves with some Netflix, go watch footy and stuff like that. But don't ever think that the birth rate is declined because of some supernatural phenomenon. It's because nobody has time for children anymore. Nobody has time for children. Even like I was saying, my next door neighbor is Muslim, but he has three children, which is normal. Three children, all born here in Australia. Very, very lovely kids. Okay, very lovely kids. But people don't want to have that many children. You can't afford it. You just can't afford it. Dagger Squad, more Middle Eastern had more in Western countries. Yes, because this is the problem. Okay, this is the problem. Like I stated before, the Western governments are involved in destabilizing these countries, i.e., Syria. Australia was not isn't exempt. Okay, Australia, Afghanistan, and Australia was part and parcel of it. Okay, more soldiers have died. Okay, coming home to Australia, more soldiers have died committing suicide here in Australia than they died on the battlefield. Okay, than they died. Like the ratio is astronomical. I think there were about 6 Australians died in battle in Afghanistan, and then a staggering number, about 300 Australian soldiers committed suicide just coming back home. Okay, but these Western countries, and I know it's even crazy in the United States. It's the suicide rate is crazy. Okay, but what I was saying was that the Western countries, including Australia, are involved in destabilizing these countries, especially the countries in the Middle East. Okay, these people are giving refugee status to migrate to Australia or to the Western countries, and you have about 1 million refugees flooding into Germany, and the governments have promised them all these sort of incentives. So these people coming into Australia as refugees, okay, they're not they're not forced to work. Okay, Australia has promised to take in about 20,000 Syrian refugees. I haven't followed the news since then, but they have let in a whole lot of Syrian refugees, a whole lot of them. Okay, and this angers a whole lot of people in Australia silently. Okay, but these are the reasons why extremist groups like these sprout. And I think last year I was driving down the street and I saw a Confederate flag on top of someone's car. It's a rare sight. I've never seen it before. First time ever I've seen a Confederate flag flying on someone's car. But luckily, this person flying the Confederate flag was a very, very elderly person, probably in his 80s or late 70s. So I wasn't too worried. But if it were to be a very young person flying that, I'd be disturbed. I would be disturbed. But yeah, so the influx of these migrants coming in, especially these refugees, when they come to Australia, they stay here indefinitely. Okay, they're not forced to get any jobs because the government looks after them. The government gives them benefits. Okay, so what they do is they just stay home and have lots of children. Okay, they stay home, have lots of children. If they get housing, they get all these social benefits. Okay, that the everyday Australian struggles to get. These refugees, especially these refugees coming from Syria, get all these benefits, incentives promised to them. Okay, so Australia joins the US, go creates the mess in the Middle East, and then they take these refugees we spill out of the mess they've created and bring them here to Australia. Okay, and it creates a whole lot of animosity. Okay, towards these new people coming, i.e., they do not contribute much to the society. Okay, and I'm not talking about the the Australian Muslims. Okay, I'm not talking about people that have assimilated, contribute to Australian society. Okay, the fear is those who do not contribute much at all, those new migrants, refugees coming into Australia. Okay, so this is what's creating the fear. Okay, this is what's creating the fear, and the motives. If you actually saw the news article, okay, the motive of this person, okay, was white nationalism. Okay, the fear of the Islamization of Australia, based on a new faith, a new growing faith in Australia. Not that Australians are converting to Islam. It's that the population of people coming out of the Muslim faith, okay, is growing. Being that Muslims are having more children. Okay, they are having more children. And like I stated before, right? If they have assimilated, they bought a house, they've got a mortgage, they've got grand, responsibilities. Okay, they won't be having children. They just won't have time. They won't have enough time to be having so many children. So this is what it is. So this is what's creating the Islamophobia, and it's not looking at this critically. Okay, it's not the fear of Islam as an ideology itself. Okay, it's the fear of the people, okay, that ascribe to these ideologies. This is what it is. Okay, it's the fear of the people, okay, that are linked to Islam. Okay, and this is what's created Islamophobia. Okay, this is what's created Islamophobia. So if you read or listened to parts of the 74 pages manifesto of this Brenton Tarrant guy, okay, he didn't mention anything about Islam itself. Okay, he was more of a white nationalist. Okay, and I'm not going to mention a whole lot of people that have been inspiring this movement, this white supremacy train. Okay, but we all know that the president of the United States inspires a whole lot of these people. Okay, an excuse to have a drink. So let's see if we got any question in the chat. Okay, no. So yeah, Dagger Squad was saying more Middle Eastern had more in Western countries. So yeah, Middle Eastern country people from the Middle East. Okay, majority of them came to the West via the refugee migration policies. Okay, and these people come in. Okay, the Islamic world, women do not work, women do not drive. They mostly housewives. The men do all the work. Okay, so they just stay home and have more children. Okay, and children are beautiful things. Okay, children are beautiful. I'm not against anyone having. Myself, I wanted to have 10 children if I can afford it, but obviously I can't afford it, so I can't. But these people have no aspirations. They've got no jobs, and this is a social problem. Okay, this is a social problem. The fear in by 2050, okay, people of Europe's population would be more than, will be greater than the population of well, what am I saying? The indigenous European population will be outnumbered by the year 2050. Okay, this is the estimation. Okay, that is out there, because normal Europeans or indigenous Europeans, aka white people, are not having children because they cannot afford to have that many children. And having children is a huge sacrifice, especially in terms of finance. Okay. If you're working class family, it's difficult to have children. You can only have 2 children maximum. Okay, and having 2 children is not enough to sustain your population. Okay. Hence, they bring in all these migrants who obviously have a culture. First generation migrants obviously have a culture of having so many children back where they come from, so they are going to replicate, okay, and reproduce a lot of children. But second, third generation are not going to be doing that much. But there is a fear of the Islamization of Australia, of the Western world, and it's not the ideology. Okay, it's not the religion itself that people are afraid of. Okay, they are just afraid of the people that follow these religions, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Why don't you attack the ideology? Okay, don't attack the people. Like people, they say, don't hate the player, hate the game. Okay, this is what it is. Okay, this is what it is. So this is a very, very horizontal issue. Okay, this is a horizontal issue. Muslims are not the problem. Islam might be a bit problematic. It's not the people. And like I said, majority of Muslims are peaceful, loving people. I.e., my next door neighbor, very, very lovely. But does Islam have problems in the ideology? Yes, it does. And these are the things that needs to be addressed. And these issues can only be addressed intellectually, okay, not by means of violence. Not by means of violence. All right. So I will go ahead and talk about the implications of this terrorist act in New Zealand. New Zealand is just like a next door. Christchurch is only 4 hours flight from Melbourne. Also, Auckland is like 2.5 hours flight from Sydney or with the Gold Coast. So New Zealand is just basically just a stone throw away. We're cousins, basically. Okay, and New Zealand is a very beautiful, peaceful place. Okay, this attack in New Zealand could have easily happened here in Australia, but guess what? The Australian police is so efficient. Okay, before any terrorist activity takes place in Australia, it's already been monitored. Okay, it's already been foiled before it escalates. So it's a very difficult place. Australia is very safe. It's a very difficult place to commit a terrorist act, and majority of Australians are not terroristic in nature. They are not terroristic in nature. There might be a few, media propaganda here and there, but Australians are naturally very loving people, peaceful, loving people. All right. So the implication of this terrorist attack. Okay. For those of you who know Australia quite well. Okay, we do have very strict gun laws in Australia. Okay, we do have under the former Prime Minister John Howard, very strict gun laws were implemented. Our guns have been taken away. Okay, there's a few illegal guns on the street. Okay, but usually, when you hear a shooting or a killing, it's usually linked to like a drug operation or a drug deal gone wrong, or gang related type of thing. But an everyday average person does not walk around the streets with a gun strapped on, like you have in the United States. It's not like that here, not at all. So the implications for this act here is a more stricter gun laws, more stricter than it already is. Okay, and New Zealand is implementing that as well. Very strict gun laws in New Zealand. I think Australia has stricter gun laws than New Zealand, but they are going to do that abruptly. Okay, they've already announced it like the very day or the day after the incident. They already wanted to ban a lot of guns and stuff like that in New Zealand. Excuse to have a drink. So I promote Australia to African Americans to move over because of the growing potential of Australia. Australia's population is set to increase by by 2050. Our population is meant to double. And it's a great place to do business. It's a great place to do business, to grow. So I promote Australia. I show how beautiful Australia is, how beautiful Australians are, and I promote that. But how does this complicate things? What are the implications here? The implication here is that the government is going to be more strict when it comes to these kind of terrorist acts. Okay, the government is going to listen to more of your calls. Okay, to foil more terrorist plots. So it's going to be very strict relating to terrorism in Australia. It's not going to be tolerated at all. There's going to be zero tolerance for terrorism and act of violence in Australia. It already exists, and I know it's just going to get stricter. Okay, it's going to get stricter. Now, in public events, there are metal detectors everywhere. You can't take guns. There are police presence everywhere. So it's generally very safe here in Australia. Very safe. But the government is now going to focus more on this person's manifesto and his ideology. So Australians are quick to point out racism. Okay, Australians do not tolerate racism at all. So even by the raise of, say, the Confederate flag, the battlefield flag of Virginia, it's unacceptable in Australia. So these things need to be looked at. Now, like I was saying, that I promote Australia to African Americans and blacks to find a new home or new opportunities here in Australia. By all means, it shouldn't deter you from coming to Australia. Okay, Australians are lovely people by nature. I live here nearly more than half of my life. I've been living here in Australia. I've had no problems at all. Actually, there's nowhere on this planet I'd rather be than here in Australia. Okay, very beautiful place. Okay, and the opportunities are still there. So by all means, don't let this scare you at all. Don't let this scare you. Yeah. So yeah, how if you ask me, being black in Australia, how does this make me feel? First of all, I'm not scared. Okay, I'm not scared because this is an isolated incident. It could have happened. It could have taken place here in Australia, but easily, I don't think it would be possible. It wouldn't be possible. There's no way on earth someone would be walking around town with that much um, weaponry on him, you know, without being detected. You can't have that here in Australia. Okay, the gun laws here are very, very strict. That's why it was so easy to happen in New Zealand as it did. All right. So yeah, black in Australia, I'm not scared living here. Um, if your time is due, okay, you will go. If your time is due, you will go. Death will come for us all. Okay, death will come for us all. No, those who fear, those who fear and preserve their life will always lose it. Okay, live your life, enjoy your life, day in day out. Okay, do what you have to do. Okay, do what you have to do for the greater good of humanity. Okay, don't live in fear. So Chaotic Storm, thanks for joining the stream. I watched the video. The guy legit killed everyone. Yeah, he you actually watched the video? I didn't want to watch it because it's sickening, bro. It's so close to home, bro. So it's really, really sickening. Double I, why can't white youths be called white gangs? Yeah. Like I've said before, it's the media, right? It's the media. Media is what's propagating these kind of malice. You know, this rhetoric. Okay, it's nothing but the media. Okay, nothing but the media. I'm sorry, so many people shared it to me. Yeah, so you watched it. But yeah, yeah, I'm not I'm not you know I'm not critiquing you, or criticizing you for watching it. I just can't watch it. It's so sad and it's so close to home. I just can't watch it. I can't watch people. I just hate gore like that. But yeah, we have to call a spade and a shovel a shovel. We have to call it what it is. It was an act of terrorism. Okay, and that's what it's been called. Okay. White supremacy is not in the mainstream media as yet. Okay, people are not talking about it as yet as a problem. Although white nationalism is in the mainstream media. Okay, but you cannot equate white nationalism to white supremacy. And the future of Australia is not white nationalism. Okay, the future of Australia is not. The future of Australia is not, because we all know that the population of Australia needs to be boosted, and it's only immigrants that can do that. Native Australians can't do that because of the lifestyle. We cannot have that many children. That's it. Muslims and black people are under attack. Okay, so there you go. Double I. Okay, this is what I talk about. I was talking about. I was going in circles trying to explain that Muslims. Okay, Muslims is not being a Muslim is not an ethnicity. Okay, Islam is only an ideology. Okay, people who follow the faith, Islamic faith, have not created an ethnicity. If anything else, it's just a congregation. Okay. It's only a religious faith, and people can always leave it behind. There's so many people. There's so many people that have followed the Islamic faith for so long, and they've just left it behind and switched faiths, switched religions. Okay, so it's only an ideology. You can leave it behind. Okay? But the people are human beings, just as everybody else. Okay? Muslims in Australia are everyday people. I have them at work. I go to work with them. You know, my next door neighbor is Muslim. His family, very beautiful family. You know, very beautiful family. You know, so if anything, okay, if you have a problem, attack the ideology. Don't attack the people, because majority of the Islamic people, they don't even know anything about Prophet Muhammad. They don't even know that Muhammad was the biggest terrorist himself. Muhammad was the biggest terrorist. You speak anything ill about Islam, he's going to behead you. He's going to take off your head. You know, they don't. An average Muslim doesn't know that. Just as the average Christian doesn't know the Bible. They don't read the Bible. They just go and listen to whatever the pastor want to say to them, and then or whatever they um, what is imam wants to say to them in the mosque, and then they go home back to being normal. You know, but if they actually read what's in that Quran, if they actually read what's in that Bible, they'll leave it behind. Okay, so don't blame the people. There are so many weak people, and excuse me to say weak, because and it's a fact there are people that who do not find strength within themselves. They want to attribute greatness to an outside entity, some supernatural being or power. Okay, and they don't want to find greatness within themselves. There's no power greater than oneself. I say this all the time. No power greater than oneself. You can literally decide your fate. Whatever you want to do, it's your own decision. Nobody's going to make you do it. Not any supernatural being, no God. Nobody's going to do it for you. You are going to do it. And there's no God so powerful that he or she or it can only do things through human beings. I mean, consider this, please. Consider it. How powerful is a God that whatever the God wants to do, it does it through a human being. The God writes a book for human beings to understand them, or understand him or her or it. I mean, they should tell you that it's only a concept in the mind. Religion is an ideology. It's only a concept in the mind created by human beings. Okay, created by human beings. So if you wanna find something to attack the ideology intellectually. Okay, bring the facts intellectually. Okay, and attack it, but don't attack the people. Don't ever do that. It's so evil. Okay, it's so evil beyond any comparison. Yeah, chaotic storm. Agreed. It's an ideology. Thank you, brother. Thank you. But don't you think people have the right to follow whatever religion they like? Double I. Of course I do. You know, Australia has religious freedom. I don't know how long you've been in Australia, Double I. You might have been born here. Since you're 16, you would have been born here. But going back 15 years ago, you know, you don't see any mosques around Melbourne. You don't see any Buddhist temples. You know, in Footscray, there's one Buddhist temple by the lake, or no, by the Maribyrnong River. Double I, if you know this. I think it's a Buddhist temple with a golden fish on top of it, and it's really nice. Like when you catch the train, you see the reflection in the water. It's really beautiful. Okay, these things didn't exist 15 years ago. Okay, there's been several debates protests against mosques being built, but eventually there's understanding. Okay, they're allowed to have the mosques anyways. Okay, but people don't go burning down the mosques and attacking people. They don't go. Okay, so yeah, you do have your religious freedom here. It's what the Australian government has promoted. Freedom of worship, freedom of religion. People, it's only that the vitriol is only that people who were once Christians are no longer Christians. Like I stated before, I don't know if you caught this chaotic storm or double I. If you saw my latest video about the pedophile priest, okay, events like these are driving people away from Christianity and religion. And Australia's population being 97%, nearly 100% Christian, has fallen to 52% Christian. And out of that 52%, you only have less than 10% that are devout Christians. But then the increase in Islam is what's scaring a lot of people. That people are leaving behind Christianity, leaving behind religion, but then Islam is on the rise. People don't want that. People don't want to walk through the streets with the ideologies of Islam. They don't want. One thing they fear is Sharia. They don't want that Sharia. Islam comes with Sharia. In a majority Christian Muslim country, there is always Sharia. Now you can look at what's happening in the Philippines. You can see what's happening in Indonesia and stuff like that. It's all Saudi Arabia, all these countries. Okay. Sharia is the way. Sharia. Chaotic storm. Double I. Let's go to you first. What people don't understand is right-wing racists often get their information from fake propaganda instead of interacting with actual Muslims, black people, etc. Yeah, exactly. Double I. Yeah. Yeah. They follow the propaganda. Okay, they buy into the propaganda of the news, and this is why we need to be serious on the news. Okay, we need to be write a petition whenever the news is carrying out propaganda. We need to call them out. And one thing I loved about the Sudanese community is the Sudanese community organized to organize a protest at the doors of Channel 7 to protest a documentary they were gonna release, and that documentary was so racist, to say. It was so racist. It marginalized the Sudanese community, and they didn't want it. They didn't want to have it, so they organized a protest at the doors of Channel 7 and make sure that that documentary was not aired, and rightfully so. This is what needs to be done, okay, to these media companies, okay, to these media companies. When it was a protest, I think it was last year. It was last year. They did a protest at the Channel 7 at Docklands. I think it was Docklands, the Channel 7 office at Docklands. Yeah. So yeah, that documentary wasn't aired. It's a long time ago, so I've forgotten the details about it, but that's what happened, So yeah, I don't like horizontal issues. All these are horizontal issues. There are several, issues. There are so many people hungry in the world. Australia, as we're saying, water supply is very, very low. Okay, they've recently opened or about to open the desalination plant. We're gonna convert seawater into drinking water because we don't have enough water in Australia. Okay, there's other issues, so many issues that is gonna affect Australia. Okay? And Muslims and Islam is not is not what I'm afraid of the most. Okay, and it's not what everybody is supposed to be afraid of the most. What you're meant to be afraid of is inability to get water, inability to get food, okay, inability to afford your housing or accommodation. These three things are what you should be afraid of the most, not Muslims and what they're doing, okay, not Muslims and the mosques they're building, not that. So it's people always, like I said again, time and again, that people are always looking for something greater than themselves to aspire to. And if they find it in religion, okay, let it be it. Okay, let it be it. But me personally, I don't subscribe to any form of religion, okay, because I see religion as a tool of mind control. Okay, if you are so busy in this religion, okay, it keeps you down from developing who you are. When people are making millions of dollars and you are believing that when you die, you believing that you struggle and struggle on earth, but when you die, you have redemption in heaven somewhere abstract. Okay, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Who says who? How do you comprehend this? That your physical being, okay, the only place you can feel, have a sense of touch, smell, feel anything, okay, is just here on earth. When you die, when you become an energy, okay, when you go back into being the infinite energy of Mother Nature, okay, what makes you think that you're going to enjoy anything? You're dead. You're not going to enjoy anything. You're dead. Okay, and spirits do not enjoy anything. Okay, spirits, in other words, energy, do not enjoy anything. It's so vague and abstract. So if you want to enjoy heaven, it is here on earth. You have to make heaven on earth. That's it. Okay, make sure you have the best life possible on earth, because when you're dead, you're dead. Okay, and I've been heard anyone coming back from the dead. Double I, you were saying, don't worry, when you die, you will be resurrected. I have never, I've never heard anyone coming back from the dead saying anything about heaven, how great it was. If it was so great, why did you come back? If it was so great, why did you come back? So, I mean, come on, come on. So these are all ideologies. It further enslaves the mind. Okay, and religion enslaves the mind. So, yeah, I personally do not subscribe to any type of religion, because it's docile as an intellectual person sitting down and being taught by some other person just because they've read a Bible. And I've read the Bible. The Bible is just a book, like any other book. You can pick it up and read it for yourself. Okay, if God is so powerful, God can speak to you. You don't need an imam. You don't need a pastor. Okay, you don't need anybody to explain to you. Okay, you should have your personal relationship with this Creator, if it's he or she exists. Okay, this is all it is. Okay, so Chaotic Storm says, they should arm churches. Okay, actually, yeah. The Australian government had promised 50. Can you believe this? Okay. The Australian government has pledged $50 million to religious centers or places of worship to increase security. Can you believe this? It is necessary. It is necessary, but there are greater issues that humanity should be worried about. But why are we wasting money, $50 million, just to protect people to go pray? Okay, when there are people struggling, people, homeless people on the streets. There are homeless people on the streets. So yeah, it is a government initiative to protect religious worshippers, and I'm saying this, that the government loves religious people because it keeps them mentally enslaved. Okay, it keeps them mentally enslaved, and this white supremacist that carried out this attack, terrorist. Okay, he by no means is affiliated to any religion. He's not a Christian. He's not a Muslim. He's not anything. Okay, he just hates. He just hates people that do not look like him. Okay, and especially it's okay if there's like I stated before, the Muslims have been in Australia and New Zealand since 1850s. Okay, as long as there's one or two, okay, they are okay. As long as they are majority, they're okay with it. But if they know that they're being taken over, okay, then they're gonna lash out. Okay, that's when they're gonna get upset, and you see things like this happening, the pushing off uh, the racist ideologies and stuff like that, and Islamophobia and things of that sort. Okay, things of that sort. I think religion is dying, especially in the West. Of course, yeah. Double I said this before. Okay, I said this before that yeah, only 52% of Australia's population is regarded as Christian. Okay, and this was the census was in 2016. Okay, fast forward this maybe 2020. Okay, it's gonna be worse. Okay, it's gonna be way below 50%, because primarily because of what recently happened with that pedophile priest. Okay, so a lot of people are moving away from religion, especially Christianity. But what they do not comprehend is, whilst Christianity is going down in Australia, okay, Islam is rising. And Islam is only rising not because people are converting to Islam, it's because people who are affiliated with the Islamic faith are having more children. Okay, are having more children, especially in the West. It's so viable for them in the West with the social amenities and everything in the West. Okay, it's just a breeding ground for these people to have X amount of children. Okay, X amount of children, where people in the West, indigenous people of the West, cannot afford the luxury of having 10 children. People from, like, say, I'm saying that indigenous people of the West, say, aka white Australians or working class people, the wife works. Like we all grew up with my mom working, my dad working. Okay, there's no chance for them to have 10 children. There's absolutely no chance. But then when you have a first generation or an immigrant family, especially coming from a Muslim background or Islamic background, they have the indoctrination that they need to have more children. They need to marry 4 wives. Okay, and imagine if they have 4 wives. Imagine each wife having, four kids. That's 16 children. 16 children per person, per man, you know, or a family. So these kind of things creates a lot of fear for white nationalists, and they lash out. And when they follow the advice of people like Donald Trump and stuff like that, it doesn't help. It just doesn't help. So yeah, you saw the protest, didn't you? Channel 7 and Channel 9 are very right wing. Double I again. White Anglo-Australians have always been against immigration. They did not like Italians. They did not like Asians. They did not like Lebanese. Now they do not like Muslims and Africans. Who do they like? Okay, so the fear of the white nationalists is that they're not going to be having the same luxury they had before all these immigration, the new immigration policies and stuff. But the government knows very well that the country is made up of people. Uh, Australians are not having children. I think the birth rate here is 1.2 children per home. Okay, that's very, very little. Okay, and the economy cannot, the economy cannot stand with that very little amount of people. So they need to bring in more people. Okay, but a lot of people do not understand, and it's due to education, lack of education, or miseducation. Okay, miseducation, but also there is a threat. There is the threat that white Australia, as you know it, will be non-existent in the years to come. So when you have, aka Muslims having 16 children, and the average white Australian can only have 2 children max, in the next 20 plus years, okay, white Australia would be non-existent. Okay, but as it is, okay, European Australians account for 93%, 93% of Australia's population. So I don't know why they are afraid. I just don't know. It's simply an ideology that needs better education to comprehend, but it's fear mongering as well. The threat is not imminent just yet. So yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't know exactly what they like, who they like, but double I, like I said before, it's just fear mongering. Okay, fear mongering. Don't worry. When you die, you will be resurrected. Yeah. You can order a Nigerian pastor to resurrect you from just $3,000. Right. Knowledge is based on experience. Uh, Chaotic storm. I would need an explanation on that. Okay, knowledge is based on experience. I don't think that's necessarily what it is. Even though it's true. Even though it's true, but it's not entirely true because don't need to have an experience. Okay, but I can just pick up a book, okay, and read and get knowledge. Okay, and get knowledge. What I would lack is basically the experience, or basically the wisdom out of it. Okay, and wisdom basically comes out of experience. So, but the knowledge as it is itself, okay, I can just pick up a book and get it. Right. So, I think that is what it is. But yeah. So, what was this? I know the saying goes that knowledge, experience is the best teacher. But yeah, that's what it is. Experience is the best teacher, but not necessarily knowledge, because there are so many people that have a great deal of knowledge, but they can't do anything with it, right? Because they lack the experience. So you double I have a Nigerian pastor on the standby just in case. Right. So another question: do you think the African community might be the next to be targeted by white supremacists? Like I say, okay, double I, the African community is not under threat at all. It's not under threat. What is under threat is, I mean, what is a threat is the ideology, the Islamic ideology. That is a threat because the Islamic ideology, okay, unites a lot of people, not necessarily just Africans. There are white Muslims, okay, there are African Muslims, there are Indian Muslims, there are Asian Muslims. Like Indonesia is the most populous Islamic country in the world. Okay, so it's just the ideology. The ideology is what binds all these people together. But singling out black people and attacking black people just doesn't make sense. It doesn't benefit anybody. Okay. It doesn't benefit anybody at all. Okay. The everyday Australian does not worry about black people. It's only a media propaganda that a whole lot of people haven't even bought into. When you walk through the streets, nobody buys into that. Nobody buys into that. Else, I would be having a hard time here, but I'm not. So people don't really buy into that. Especially educated people. Educated people don't buy into that sort of propaganda. So the African community is by no means under threat at all. It's not going to be the African community is not going to be targeted at all. But if anything, it's Islamophobia. Okay, it's Islamophobia, and I've explained it thoroughly because of the ability of Islam as an ideology to unite a whole large group of people, and people who believe in the Islamic faith tend to have a lot of children. Okay, so there's the fear of cultural annihilation by people that subscribe to the Islamic faith. So these are the fears, okay? Not just the black. They don't fear. They're not afraid of black people. No, they're not. So double I, 80% of terror victims are Muslims themselves. In the past year, ISIS has killed more Muslims than Christians. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you know why it is because in the Islamic faith you do have the Shiites and the Sunnis. You have the Shiites and the Sunnis. So and it's all because they have different ideologies. The Sunnis have a different ideology, and the Sunnis have a different ideology, and they clash. Okay, they clash and kill themselves based on an ideology. Okay, horizontal issues. Right. So yeah, Sunni Wahhabism is supported by Saudi Arabia. So yeah, and yeah, Iran supports the Sunni Shiites, isn't it? Iran and Iran and Syria and Turkey. I know Turkey is secular, but yeah, Iran is Shia. Yes, so that's why they are at loggerheads. You know, they Iran and Saudi Arabia are fighting proxy wars. You know, they're fighting proxy wars, and it won't be long until they start firing nukes into each other's territories. So yeah, Saudi Arabia uses Sunni extremists to fight Shia countries. Yeah, this is what it is. Yeah, it's a sectarian war. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, little brother, you're only 16, but you're not 16. You got your P, so you know more than I do. You would be 18, wouldn't you be? You'll be 18. You know so much more than I do. All right. I should bring you on the show. We'll have a dialogue sometime. Yeah. Let me know if you're up for it sometime. Okay. I know you're not 16. You got your driver's license, so you'll be 18, right? Yeah. You would be 18. Yeah. So yeah, I'm thrilled that the younger generation are switched on. Thanks to the internet, thanks to YouTube, okay, all this information is out there. You know, you can choose to educate yourself, okay, but if you're ignorant, I'll come for you. All right, I will come for you. So I guess I have exhausted my topic. Okay, I have exhausted my topic. Terrorism down under. Okay, terrorism in Australia is not the everyday thing here in Australia. Even heck, police officers don't kill people here, no matter how grievous the crime is. Okay, how heinous the crime is. The police are gonna make sure they chase you down and catch you. Okay, they're not gonna shoot you. They're not gonna shoot you down. Like double I remember the Somali guy that stabbed somebody in the city and then set a car ablaze. They gave this man so many chances. Okay, there were several. They were on him for a good 10 minutes. You know, on him for a good 10 minutes until he became too erratic, and they had to shoot him. And they didn't even shoot him with the intention to kill him. They shot him to subdue him, but then he died anyway. They shot him to subdue him, but he died anyway. Like Australians are not that trigger happy. Okay, the Australian culture is very beautiful, beautiful people, lovely people. By no means terrorism is our way of life. That's why this act of terrorism didn't take place here in Australia. Okay, the culprit had to do it somewhere else, but it is really sad that he had to do it in New Zealand. More so that New Zealand doesn't have um, as strict gun laws as we do here in Australia. So, give or take, he wouldn't be able to do something like this here in Australia because of the strict gun laws here in Australia. But yeah, what do you think about the Fraser Anning and the Egg Boy? Yeah, the Egg Boy situation. Fraser Anning, he's a disgrace. I mean, he's very Islamophobic. Um, he and what's his name? I think his rhetoric has overtaken that of Pauline Hanson's. Fraser Anning is he himself is a bad egg, and he needs to be thrown away himself. But the egg boy is very innocent. I would egg him too. Um, yeah. So yeah, the egg boy. I had it on the news today. The egg boy wants to press charges against the police officers and the people that put him in headlock. Okay, they almost snapped his neck. So yeah, the Egg Boy has gotten almost $50,000 in crowdfunding, and can you imagine that? Yeah, so there you go. This sends, thank you, Double I, for that. This sends a deep message that Australians are not against Australians are not for that sort of rhetoric, or Australians are against this sort of Islamophobia and hate, these sort of fear of immigrants. Okay, a lot of Australians you speak to love immigrants. Heck, our national anthem talks about how our land in beauty, abounds. There's plenty of room for everybody. So there you go. So yeah, the egg boy has become a hero for egging Fraser Anning. Yeah, so there you go. Best believe that everywhere you go now, Fraser Anning, he should watch out for more eggs his way. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of bad eggs thrown at him. Yeah, so they should have shot him quickly. Oh, you talking about the guy, the Somali guy in the city? Yeah, he wasn't even a terrorist. He was just a crazy nutter. He was just a crazy nutter. But yeah, he definitely committed an act of terrorism. Okay, stabbed someone in the city, and it was just a plan. I think it was a planned attack. Or just a lone person. He just wanted that lone person, and just murdered that lone person. Yeah, he was mentally ill, right? But then the police wanted to save him. The police wanted to help him. They didn't shoot him instantly. They gave him plenty of chances to. But he was wielding a knife, right? He was wielding a sword, and yeah, and even a few people on the streets try to help, you know. So yeah, it is what it is. Okay, terrorism is not a way, is not an Australian way of life. Okay, it's not an Australian way of life. Life goes on here in Australia. Everything is nice and cool, calm. You know, we don't condone the act of terrorism. There's a mosque down the street from where I live. Okay, there's a lot of flowers being taken to the mosque. You know, people showing their solidarity. So yeah, the Muslim community is welcome. Okay, nobody is attacking the Muslim community and whatnot. So yeah. Danger Pooch, thanks for joining the stream. Double I, what was this? Have you ever been arrested, Vic Police? No, I haven't been arrested. I think when I was 16 years old, I think I had to attend a rope course because I was using foul language on the train. I used the foul language on the train, so I had to attend a rope course, and I was believe it or not, I was very angry. I was a very angry teenager growing up. So I use a lot of foul words and stuff like that. So, but then you know how it is. You don't use foul words on the train in Australia. You get a fine or you get arrested for it. But I wasn't arrested. I was just sent a letter in my mail to attend an anger management course. Foul language, yeah, yeah. I was swearing my head off. Yeah, so I had to attend a rope course, and which was really good. For the first time, and the process of the rope course was to conquer your fear. So a lot of people act in anger because of fear. Okay, as in the case of this terrorist, so he was fearing what, let's say, white annihilation or Islamic takeover of Australia or the Islamization of Australia. He was fearing that. So what he should have done was understand what Islam is actually about. Understand what these Muslims are about. Okay. He lacked understanding, but then he just vented his frustration and went on a killing spree. But if you are educated enough, you know that Australia's population is 25 million people, and out of that 25 million people, 93% is European background. 93%, and out of that 93%, 80% of that 93% is of English origin, English, German, um, French, Irish, Scottish background. Okay. So there's no it's not there's no fear for um, white genetic annihilation here in Australia. There's not it doesn't make sense. So Danger Pooch, I just can't I just can't get over the thought of a brother living in Australia. Why? My ignorance just won't let me. Yeah, you know what my channel is about. I will cure you. Okay, I will cure you. Okay, I will make sure I cure your ignorance. Okay, this is why my channel. Even sometimes I have nothing to say, but I have to come on here just to quench that ignorance, just to re-educate. Okay, put myself out there. I'm usually I keep to myself. This I could be, relaxing, with my family, playing PlayStation or reading a book or something, entertaining myself. But I just can't stand the ignorance. Moving into the future, I can't stand the ignorance. I just can't. So I have to do something. I have to do something, Danger Pooch. So yeah, here in Australia, okay, there. Believe it or not, I'm not the only black person here. There's a lot of black people here in Australia. Okay, the indigenous Australians are black. Okay, the indigenous Australians are black, and believe it or not, they're part of the Pan Africanism family. Okay, Australia was included in the talk of Pan Africanism, or you know, under the Pan Africanism umbrella. Okay, in the 60s, Australia was regarded. Okay, and our flag, the indigenous flag of Australia is a Pan Africanist flag. So yeah. So yeah, Danger Preach. Yes, I'm here for the education. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah. So yeah. By no means I'm the best teacher, but you know I'm trying. All right, I'm trying. I'm trying my best to re-educate. You know, restructure your thoughts. You know, everything is a possibility. You know, everything is a possibility. There are a lot of Australians, black people in here, or people of African descent in Australia, but they just don't. They're very quiet. They're very conserved people. They don't say much. You know, they don't say much. So yeah, I went to Glen Waverley, and then Glen Waverley Secondary College, and then because I lived in Glen Waverley, and then I studied at Swinburne University in Hawthorne. So Swinburne University of Science and Technology. Okay, so that's where I graduated. Hawthorne, yeah. Yeah, so there is a lot of people of African appearance. Don't worry, we are many. Yes, double I. Yeah, so especially in the western suburbs. So I grew up partly in the much of my teenage days in the eastern suburbs. I only moved to the western suburb 2 years ago. So yeah, so nearly majority of my life I've been in the eastern suburb, where it's predominantly white Aussie, white Australian. But I'm very happy here in a very multicultural suburb. Um, I go to the shop. I don't only see white people. I see white people. I see Indians. I see everyone of every ethnicity in the shopping centers, and it's great. And the best thing I love about the shopping center is there's a lot of food. Okay, you can never go hungry. What do you want to eat? You want to eat what? Masala? You want to eat Rogan Josh? You know. So yeah, food. There's so many food. There's noodle. I mean, so much food. You know, and I'm all for the food. Okay, if diversity is going to bring in a lot of food, I'm all for it. All right, I'm all for it. So is Melton a cheaper suburb? Yeah, Melton is the cheaper suburb, but you know Melton is you're going a little bit out of the city now, Melton. But let's believe Melton is getting more expensive as well. Melton is getting more expensive, but the fall of the house prices is a great time now for people to buy, but it's not a great time to sell. So yeah. But Melton used to be quite cheap maybe 5 years ago, but yeah, it's not that. Melton is 20 minutes away from where I live now, but it's not too bad. Not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah, so I think I've said everything I wanted to say. Okay. Terrorism is not a way of life here in Australia. By no means. Okay. When we talk about Australia, okay, we're talking about Crocodile Dundee. Okay, we're talking about Steve Irwin. We're talking about um, we're talking about koalas, beautiful koalas, cuddly koalas. We're talking about kangaroos. You know, beautiful people. We're talking about Nicole Kidman, Hugh Jackman. You know, beautiful people. But terrorist is not. It's not one thing that comes to mind. Okay, when you talk about Australia. So by all means, okay, visit Australia if you want to. Australia is a beautiful place. It's a very very safe country, very peaceful, very prosperous. Uh, you know, everybody's out and about. Doing what they have to do. You know, so yeah. Double I. Do you recommend driving to the city or take a train? And if you drive, where is the best place to park within the city that is affordable for free or for free? Uh, I'll be honest, ever since my incidents on that train, or my incident on that train where I was using foul language at these ticket inspectors, I I had my tickets. I was just not excited about how they approached me, so I decided to verbally abuse them, and then they had to give me a fine for verbally abusing them, and a fine which I refused to pay, so I had to uh, go do an anger management course, so I don't have to pay the fine anymore. But ever since, this is going back 12 years ago, ever since then, I have not really stepped aboard a train. I always drive wherever I went or wherever I go. So if I should go to the city, I would drive to the city. Okay. But that some part of the city you can't drive anyway. So I drive to the city. I park along the gardens. I think you can find parking at the Alexander Gardens. You can find parking at South Yarra or around St Kilda, and just catch the tram. Okay, just catch the tram. Or if you want, you can catch a train. Okay, you can catch a train. If you're going to, say, Flinders Street, best to catch the train. Best to catch the train. But I always drive to the city. The times that I go to the city are after hours, and it's usually free parking after that. So free parking after that. But I don't usually go to the city during the day. If I should go to the city during the day, I park quite far away from the city and catch the tram or just walk. Yeah. Mm, yeah. So yeah, very soon there's been a talk to ban cars in the city altogether. So yeah, it's a future plan. It's a future plan. So they've planned to ban cars in the city. So yeah, so there you go. So yeah, again, is there any more questions? Is there anyone that wanna ask any questions? Okay, the future of Australia is Australia is a very safe place. Uh, the guns are under control here. Okay, everyday people do not walk around with guns on them. Okay, occasionally you hear a few shootings here and there, but it's usually drug related or drug deals going wrong and stuff like that. So, but it's not just an everyday person carrying guns and going on a rampage, you know. But yeah, I believe everybody can have a good quality of life here in Australia. If you can achieve great things here. There's a lot of growth here in Australia. There's plenty of room for growth here in Australia, and you can have a good time here, a good life. Future of Black people in Australia, it's positive. Okay, it's positive. Australians do not hate Black people. Okay, Australians love Black people. If you are, this is what I say. If you're an asshole, you get treated like an asshole. Okay, but if you're genuinely a nice person, everyone is just gonna love you. So you basically um, what you put out is what you get back. So reciprocity. Okay, reciprocity. So yeah. yeah, the future of Australia is mixed. The future of Australia is mixed. Um, the population of Australia is 25 million again. It will double by 2050, and it's immigrants that are going to be having more children. Okay, so the future of Australia is mixed. The tougher gun laws here in Australia, the government is eavesdropping on everyone's conversation. Okay, believe it or not, okay, you make your phone calls. Okay, there are keywords that the government listens to. Everyone's phone call is being listened to, or everyone's text messages is being listened to or read. So the keywords that the government looks out for. So if you are saying something that is terroristic in nature, best believe they'll be knocking on your door in no time. Okay, double I, you know that, right? Double I, you know that. Okay. As soon as the terrorist activity took place, the Australian government already raided a few homes. Okay, they already raided a few homes, so they'll be quick to nab you. Yeah. So yeah, the government of Australia, you would think that in the USA you are being monitored and stuff like it's done here in Australia 24/7, 24/7. So double I, do you think who do you think will win the election? I'm supporting Bill Shorten for Labour. Um, yeah. Well, I think Labour is going to win the election this time around. Labour is going to win, but I'm not too sure of Scott Morrison. But I like Scott Morrison. I like Scott Morrison. But Bill Shorten has his own rhetorics as well. But yeah, it would be nice to see Bill Shorten as prime minister as well for a change, and then it would be nice to have Labour as a change. So yeah, yeah. But like I have never voted. I'll be honest. Okay, I haven't registered to vote. Uh, when I turned 18, they've been mailing the voting papers to me. Again, I keep throwing them out because I don't want to vote. I'm not decided. Okay, to vote. Yeah, because I just don't like politicians. I like politics, but I just don't like politicians because, especially here in Australia, you know how the politicians can easily be ousted. So, um, I'm not a big fan of politicians, really. Scott Morrison is anti-immigrant and is a bit right wing. A bit. Mm, I only knew him when he was a treasurer, but you know, he becoming prime minister was just a shock. I prefer Malcolm Turnbull. I preferred Malcolm Turnbull better, but yeah, I think Australia needs to sort out its immigration. The under John Howard, okay, the immigration policy of Australia was to bring in um, what they call it, highly skilled immigrants. Okay, like my dad has a master's degree. The like during the time of John Howard, there were a lot of these people, doctors and lawyers, and like you can only get visas to Australia I if you are either rich or you're highly educated. But since John Howard left, anyone can come to Australia. Anybody can just come to Australia. you know, and which is not cool. Okay, so the idea of Australia was to build a high class of citizens of so a high class society of people. But now the doors are open to any type of people to come into Australia. You know, any type of people, and when you do that, okay, you degrade the values of Australia. You reduce the economic power of Australia when you bring in people that are not, that are more of like detractors than contributors. Okay, so this is what a lot of people are against, and especially the Liberal government. This is what they are against. Bringing in just anybody else into Australia, like that wouldn't help. So what you need is skilled migration into Australia. Skilled migration. Okay. So why do you think Australian citizenship applications take so long? Yeah, because basically is to believe it or not, they investigate. Okay, they investigate your background, make sure you don't have any criminal background, make sure you are genuine, make sure your reason for immigrating is genuine. They do a whole lot of back investigation on you, background investigation on you before they grant you any form of citizenship. So that is what it is. Any little crime you commit in the process of your citizenship application, you'll be denied. You will be denied. So it is what it is. Okay, it's all part of the immigration policies of Australia. That's why our population is still very, very low. But you can tell that Australia's population has risen sharply after John Howard stepped down. Okay, after John Howard stepped down, because the subsequent government just didn't know what they were doing, just letting people in anyhow. But they've realized that they've made a mistake, so they've tried to tighten things up now. So, NSW Drug Squad, thanks for joining the stream. Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy to have some Aussies here. Very thrilled. Very excited. So yeah, double I read somewhere a guy was denied Australian citizenship because of traffic offenses. Yeah, wow, yeah. They will deny you any form of crime. If you have any criminal background, they will deny you. Remember the case of Akon? When Akon wanted to come to Australia, do you remember that case? They said they were not going to give Akon visa because Akon had a criminal background. And Akon's what was it called? Akon's record label is called Convict, right? Akon's record label is called Convict. So what had happened was Akon was meant to come perform in Australia, and they had to debate this in Parliament. I think this was during Julia Gillard, the time of Julia Gillard. So they were voting to say Akon shouldn't be allowed to come to Australia, but Akon's he's a convicted criminal. Yes, he served jail term or time. But Akon's remark was, if I should be rejected anywhere else, it shouldn't be Australia, because you guys, Aussies, descended from convicts. So that was Akon's remark, which is true. So, but yeah, a convict wanted to come to a land of convicts. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's why Akon was surprised he should be rejected. But yeah, you'd be surprised. Australia is very, very strict. Immigration policy in Australia is very, very strict. The visa application takes a long. I was very, very fortunate to have come to Australia at a very young age. So yeah, I didn't even require to get my citizenship until I think I was like 16 years old. But my family, we've been here since 2001. My auntie, this is my father's sister, and her husband immigrated to New Zealand in the 70s, and then in the 90s they moved to the 90s or 80s, they moved to Australia. So they've been here a long time. They've been here a very long time. So yeah, yeah, almost 20 years I've been in Australia. Yes. So you know, I am Aussie true and true. Aussie true and true. Yeah. So I am well settled. I am well assimilated. I am Aussie basically. I'm Australian. I have Australian accent. But now, if I should go back to Ghana now, I would not sound Guinean at all. They'll definitely know that I'm not from Ghana, but even though I was born there. So, but I can still speak the local language because I do mingle with a lot of Ghanaians. I go to their functions and gatherings and social programs and stuff like that. And occasionally I check out their news and activities. So yeah. When was the last time you went back to Africa? I was in Mauritius in 2016. So in June or May 2016, my best mate, he's Nigerian, and he married a beautiful girl from Mauritius. So we had to go to Mauritius for his wedding, and I ended up staying for almost a month. So I stayed in Mauritius. It was so beautiful. It's such a small island, but yeah, it's very beautiful, full of tourists. So yeah, Africa on my mind every day. Very beautiful. Actually, I'll be going next year. I'll try and make my trip to Africa again next year. Destination Morocco, Ghana, and yeah, yeah, it will be really nice. Yeah, Mauritius is beautiful. Yeah, definitely Ghana. Definitely Ghana next year. I'm going to Ghana next year. Yeah, I'm going to Ghana next year. So yeah, so I'll be flying. I'll be flying to the UK and then from the UK to Morocco and from Morocco to Ghana, and if I have time, I'll fly to the United States. So I'll fly to the United States on my way back to Australia. So yeah, that's gonna be my travel route. So yeah, I didn't intend to make the stream this long, but yeah. Thank you guys for joining the stream. Is there any other questions you guys want to ask about life in Australia, being black in Australia? How does this terrorist activity, if how did this terrorist activity affect uh, the everyday Australian or black people in Australia? Um, myself, it's very shocking. Everyone here in Australia is very disappointed that something like this happened. Um, they, even though a lot of Australians are against the building of mosques and stuff like that, but they're not against Muslims living here in Australia. They're just not against that. So, so yeah, if you want to attack something, attack the ideology. Okay, attack the ideology. Islam has a lot of flaws. Christianity has a lot of flaws. All religions have a lot of flaws, i.e., they were created by human beings. Humans created all religions. Okay, humans created all religions, and there is the deception, the God deception. Attack the ideology. It's simply just an ideology, but don't harm your fellow human being. Don't do that. It's just pure evil. You are not doing it for any good. Okay, you're not doing it for any good. All right. So yeah. So have you repaid your uni loans? How long does it take? Yeah, I've finished paying my uni loans. I have finished paying it because I was working even whilst I was attending uni, and I was even paying my uni fees. with my credit card anyway. So yeah, I have finished paying off all my loans. Yeah, yeah. So yeah. So now only paying for my mortgage at the moment. So yeah, great. But yeah. So yeah, the greatest threat to Australia is not terrorism. Okay. The greatest threat to Australia is environmental. Okay. The environmental woes of Australia is really serious. Okay. It's really serious. We haven't had much rain this year. Okay. We haven't had much rain this year. But luckily you walk through the streets, all the grasses are burnt out. Yeah, all the grass. There was a lot of fire this year as well. There was a lot of fire, bushfire, and that. So soon winter is coming, and we fingers crossed for some rain this year. But um, yeah, it's only going to get worse with the climate change and global warming and stuff like that. It's only going to get worse for Australia. So yeah, Australia, this summer has been a hottest on record. This summer has been the hottest on record. So the environmental issues affecting Australia is far greater than terrorism. Okay, and it's really sad that the airplane that crashed in Ethiopia, killing 159 people. These are issues that we should be concerned about. Okay, prior to this New Zealand attack, okay, it was the Ethiopian airline that was a news topic for the day. Okay, but where has that gone? Nobody's talking about the Ethiopian airline anymore. An airplane can fall out of the sky and kill 400 people. Boom, just like that. And these airplane companies, these petrol companies, they have to be the biggest terrorists on the planet because they fund the wars. They're not ready to let go of fossil fuels when we have solar energy. Okay, when we can make planes out of, you know, when we can power planes by just using solar panels, not fossil fuel. Yeah, all these things. Aviation has a lot of problems that need to be solved. Okay, and we need to travel freely and have the security that we will reach our destination. Okay. What's stopping Boeing from manufacturing an airplane that would, in the case of emergency, the plane can just deploy some parachutes and just land safely, or deploy some capsules, okay, that would just guide the plane to land on the ocean or something safely. What's stopping Boeing from doing that? But they're so hell bent on using fossil fuel that they don't want to implement these sort of technologies. So yeah, before I go, I wanted to share this news article. Okay, well, the news article, this video. Mm, I'll share this. Before we go. Present to everyone. Okay, if you can see me. Where was this? So the Christchurch. No. So here's the article that I was reading. This is Scott Morrison, giving his so what we know, 49 people. It's now 51 people dead now. There's a few people died in hospital, so 59 people dead. One of the people arrested was Australian citizen, reportedly Brenton Tarrant. The gunman entered the crowded Al Noor Mosque in Christchurch at 1:45 p.m. local time. A second shooting took place at Linwood masjid in Christchurch shortly after. New Zealand Police Commissioner Mike Bush confirmed that 4 people have been apprehended. So the people currently in custody were not on security watch list. So Miss Arden said it was one of New Zealand's darkest days. Okay, so those were the key points. These are screenshots of him, and apparently he's written the names of all the terrorists and stuff like that, or white nationalists, or white males that have gone on a killing spree. He's written the names on his guns. So yeah, it is a very sick individual, right? And this is the New Zealand Prime Minister, Arden. What's her name? Forgot her name now. But yeah, Jacinda Ardern. Okay, that's the name of the Prime Minister of New Zealand. So yeah, yeah, people leaving flowers at the mosques. So yeah, like I said, the mosque just across the street. There's a lot of flowers being laid there. So which shows that people are extending their sympathies and condolences. You know. So yeah, again, don't attack the people, attack the ideology. Okay, don't attack the people. So yeah, majority of Muslims are peaceful, loving people. Just everyday people, everyday people. So yeah, that was a news article. I might put this in the description box so you can go read it if you wish to. But I'm gonna share. I'm gonna play this. The reason why I say that I've been saying that Islam, okay, is an ideology. Okay, the people who subscribe to this ideology are Muslims. Okay, and by no means Muslims is an ethnicity. Okay, there are white Muslims, there are black Muslims, there are Indian Muslims, there are Sunnis, there are Shiites, there are Asian Muslims. And you know, it's only an ideology. Anyone can, you know, subscribe to it. Okay, it's only a thought. Okay, and the need for people to find a greater power outside of self. Okay, is there. There are so many people that are gullible. I said weak before, but I think weak is just too harsh. But it's just gullible, you know, easily deceived. But anyway, so this news article here, I don't know if anyone else caught it, but 600,000 people have viewed this. Okay, but I'm gonna play to you why, you know, Islam is an ideology, not an ethnicity. Okay, so when you say Muslims, you're not, you know, it's not an ethnicity of people. It's only a religion. Okay, it's only people that follow a religion. Okay, so you know, when you lump in people and saying I hate Muslims, it doesn't make sense. Okay, because they're beautiful Muslims, they're peaceful, loving people. Majority of Muslims are peaceful, loving people. Okay. Yes, Islam fuels extremism, yes, but it's only a minority. Okay, it's only a minority. So now we're gonna listen to the reason why I'm saying this. Okay, the reason why I'm saying this. I'm gonna play it for you. Reporter was saying that I think who's this man? I think he's the mayor of Christchurch. This man is the mayor of Christchurch, right? Um, she was saying, "Oh, you are part Muslim. You can't be part Muslim. There's nothing like being part Muslim. I can be part German, yes, but I can't be part Christian and part Muslim. It's only an ideology. I can't be part an ideology. An ideology is an ideology. Okay, so this is the misconception and miseducation that a lot of people have. Even a BBC news correspondent has spews this ignorance on national TV or international TV, international platforms such as the BBC. Okay, calling someone as part Muslim. How can you be part Muslim? I don't get it. It's just beyond stupid. All right, so let's listen to her.
For many, many years. So is there a sense that your communities...
I think it will have a bigger impact on the wider community.
Now, Raf, you were saying that you're part Muslim yourself, and you've lived here in Christchurch for many, many years. So is there a sense that your community is feeling incredibly, uncomfortable, unsafe?
Okay, so there, you heard her say it, okay? She's part Muslim. There's nothing like being part Muslim. It doesn't exist. You can't be part an ideology. You can't. You can't be part a religion. I'm part Christian and I'm part Buddhist. You can't do that. So double I think what he means is one of his parents is Muslim and the other is not. Yes, that's what the news reporter is a female, but that's what she meant. Yes, definitely that's what she meant. But because she's being miseducated, okay, she thinks that being Muslim is an ethnicity. Okay, being Muslim is not an ethnicity. You can be black and be part of the Muslim community. Okay, this is what I'm saying. The black people died in Christchurch as well in the Islamic attack because the black Muslims. Okay, the black Muslims. There's a video of the New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern hugging a black woman who has obviously lost her husband in the attack. So this is the miseducation that when people, especially I hear from Americans a lot, Muslims are taking us over. Muslims are human beings. These are human beings, like just human beings that have subscribed to a religious ideology. So if anything, okay, attack the ideology. Don't attack the human beings. Okay, don't attack the human beings. Because if you attack the ideology, you bring the ideology down. Hey, people make decisions for themselves. I'm half Sudanese and half a boss. That's funny. That's funny. Half a boss. Right. So this is for the uneducated people. Okay, this lady's remark of this person being half. Obviously, this man here is not Muslim. He's not Muslim at all. Obviously, he's not. Okay, he's not Muslim. But she wanted to point out that you were part Muslim. It doesn't make sense. You can't be part Muslim. Yes, maybe your parents were Muslims or your parents are Muslim. Yes, but is their ideology, is what they subscribe to. But I know better, so I walk away from it. I don't want to subscribe to Islam, so I walk away from it. Okay, but it doesn't. It's not part of my blood. It's not in my blood that I am Muslim. Okay, it's not in my blood. If you bring my DNA right now, my DNA will not say anything about me being Muslim. My DNA is going to tell me I'm from Africa. My DNA is going to tell me I'm part German. My DNA is going to tell me I'm Berber North African. Okay, but my DNA is not going to tell me I'm Christian. My DNA is not going to tell me I'm Buddhist. My DNA is not going to tell me I'm Muslim. Okay, so this is the miseducation and misconception, plaguing everybody, nearly everybody. Okay, and I've put it upon myself to educate, to try and educate. So yeah, so try and educate. So yeah, again, family, the next time you hear people spew rhetoric, okay, let them know that Islam is only an ideology, okay, created by human beings. Okay, so attack the ideology and don't attack the people. That's it. That's it.
Impact on the wider community.
Now, Raf, you were saying that you're part Muslim yourself, and you've lived here in Christchurch for many.
So yeah, you're part Muslim yourself. Okay, so that's just wrong. All right, so that's just wrong. So yeah. Back in the day, I used to listen to this guy called David Wood from Acts 17 Apologetics. Okay, he explains a lot about what Islam is. Okay, and David Spencer, I think I bought a book. David Spencer read a book, I think, The Truth About Prophet Muhammad. I have this book. I've read this book. Okay, I know a whole lot about Prophet Muhammad. Okay, a whole lot of it, and it's so abstract. The story about Prophet Muhammad is so abstract. Okay, there's no way that an all-powerful being will introduce himself to an illiterate in a dark cave and give him a religious text, or write a religious text to go give to the people. Why can't the God show himself to all these people themselves? Why does he have to do it through an illiterate in a dark cave? And we all know scientifically, in a cave, right, the gases coming out of the cave are hallucinogenic. Okay, hallucinogenic. They make you they can put you in a trance and make you hallucinate. Okay. The gas is coming out of the cave. Caves can do that to you. Okay, so there used to be I think there used to be people in, I think, Greece or something. They're called a civil. They used to stay in a cave, and they used to inhale the sulfur gas that come out of the cave, and that's where you get they go into trance, and then so what the mind, when the mind goes into trance, okay, this is what spirituality is about. Okay, when your mind goes into trance or goes beyond your physical being, okay, you begin to think beyond your reality, okay, and envision every other possibility out there. Okay, so this is what it is. So this allowed a lot of these predictions and stuff like that. So yeah. So yeah, I think my stream is down. Thanks to all of you for joining the stream. I really appreciate it. Stop sharing. I appreciate everyone for joining. Double I, thanks for joining the stream. Don't know what you're up to for tomorrow, but it's late now. It's past 9:30. It's bedtime. I've got work tomorrow, so I need to boot. I need to scoot. So yeah. The same way we think African is a race, when in fact it is a continent with many races. Exactly. Yeah. But then the theory of race is that we are all of one race. We are all the same human race. I would say different ethnicities in Africa, but not necessarily race. But yeah. So yeah, there are a lot of phenotypes in Africa. You can get all sort of skin tones in Africa. Even in black Africa itself, like in the Congo, you can find someone so light skinned, and they're not even mixed with any European. Okay, they're not even mixed with any European. So yeah. Cheers, mate. See you next time. Thanks for joining the stream, Double I. Chaotic Storm, yes. Thumbs up to the human race. Okay, thumbs up to the human race. One human race, okay. we're one family, one big global family. Okay, and I hope that let me put my mic back in there. I hope that when you realize that we are one human race, okay, I hope that it's not too late for you. I hope it won't be your deathbed. So, yeah, you only have one life to live. Live your life fully. Enjoy everything that nature has to give. Okay, love everybody else. Okay, love conquers everything. Okay, do what you have to do. Do what you have to do. If you're in distress, if you need help, ask for help. Ask for help. Someone will help you. Okay, someone will definitely help you. Don't feel isolated. Okay, don't feel isolated. All right, family. Thank you again for joining the stream, and salute. Chiefdryno signing out. Chaotic Storm. Catch you later. All right. Peace out, family. Peace out.